Hello! I'm now back from MagicCon Vegas, and it was a blast. This was one of my favorite conventions ever. And if you ask me, Phil, did you buy a lot of Magic cards at the event? Um, to that, I would say I had difficulty closing my suitcase in returning home from this con. Perhaps I spent money on things other than Magic cards, though. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And we're going to do something special. We're going to have a Nic Fit double feature between today and tomorrow. Cell is thinking about taking an Eyetwitch Nic Fit deck to one of their local events and wants to see if we can tune this up into something that is even better than it was the last time around. So we're going to try to give it a go today. So this is going to be a two-parter. In part one, we are going to tune up the Jund list that I played previously. And in part two, we're going to see how does it function if we remove the red that is largely just for Chaos Defiler, and is it better as a Golgari deck? So the previous league with this is absolutely worth watching if you did not watch that already. It is an absolute treat of fantastic, tight gameplay. And as it turns out, Witherbloom Charm is an incredibly real card for the Nic Fit shell. It does everything that you need a card to do. It lets us sacrifice Veteran Explorer while getting things to play, while drawing 2 cards, so that we get the ramp and we get stuff to play with it, which is a perfect combo. And it also comboed with Eyetwitch, letting us learn, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I've taken some time and done my research this time on the lessons. And as it turns out, just having Barrowglyphs and the ability to bring Barrowglyph back from the graveyard and the ability to bring Barrowglyph back from the graveyard was really strong. And without spoiling too much, in the last league, Chaos Defiler more than pulled its weight. And we want to see if we believe that that is true, so we'll compare and contrast today's league with tomorrow's Golgari-only league. Now, this time around, I was asked to fit some Thoughtseize into the main deck, which maybe means going down on some effects like Malevolent Rumble that offer some selection. But the upside of having some Thoughtseize, and we're going to have the full playset in the 75, the 2 others are in the sideboard, is that it becomes easier to hit with your Cabal therapies, and it gives you a little more game versus game 1 combo decks. Now, I'm going to try out 3 new lessons today in our sideboard that we can get via Eyetwitch's learning ability. The first is Desperate Plea, which was suggested to me in the YouTube comments. So, this is as an additional cost to cast this spell, you sacrifice a creature. You can choose one or both. Destroy target creature, or return target creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield if its power is less than or equal to the sacrificed creature's power. So this is kind of neat. Let's imagine that you have an Eyetwitch in play and a Veteran Explorer in play. So you can sacrifice your Veteran Explorer to your Desperate Plea to do both modes. Say, destroy an opposing Murktide Regent, and then return a creature to the graveyard. So you can potentially sacrifice your Eyetwitch, learn, go and get Desperate Plea, sacrifice your Veteran Explorer, get back your Eyetwitch while getting a new lesson. And it's not going to be quite a full-on loop, but it can be a very good way to do some value-oriented stuff. And this is not going to be dead in the late game either. Let's say that you attack for 5 with a Chaos Defiler and you have another Chaos Defiler in your graveyard. Well, I will go ahead and sacrifice my Chaos Defiler, destroy your creature, Chaos Defiler trigger, get rid of one of your other permanents as well, and then bring back another Chaos Defiler. So there's some really neat things that you can potentially do here. Next up is Seismic Sense, which allows you to look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands you control. Again, Nic Fit deck, so we're going to have a lot of lands. And we can reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into our hand. I think it's pretty typical for a Nic Fit deck to have like 5 or 6 lands. So this is going to help out for the fact that we're going down a couple of Malevolent Rumble to fit Thoughtseize into the main deck here. And the final one is another Paradigm card. In our previous league, Decorum Dissertation was something that was incredibly scary, just a must-counter card that we could search up via Eyetwitch. And I played with some of these Paradigm cards in Commander over the weekend at MagicCon Vegas and was relatively impressed by them. I wonder how strong Germination Practicum is. 5 mana to put 2 counters on each creature you control is pretty mid by Legacy standards. I would even say potentially bad by Legacy standards. But if you are in a stalled board where you are kind of staring at each other, this is some pretty strong inevitability for something that you can just grab via Eyetwitch. So I have trimmed some of the lessons that I thought were less good. We're still going to have the ability to get some spot removal or removal for an artifact or enchantment or potentially one board wipe, but we're going to lose out on some of the other fringe players for things that I think are just more solid. So with that being said, let's see how this performs here. And if you need any Magic cards, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. Their booth was hopping all weekend at the MagicCon. I got a booster box of stuff from them and was very, very happy with that. I ran around the con giving it out to all sorts of people, and TOA did a lot for creators at the event. So if you need some cards, please consider supporting them. They're great. Promo code ThrabenU will save you a little bit on your order online. All right, this was a chunkier deck tech than I was expecting, but I had a lot to say. So let's just go ahead and get in there. Let's battle. Man, every time I look at the opening hands for this deck, I'm just like, damn, this deck rules. All right, what are we thinking? Dinosaur Avatar. Do I name something from Energy? I could also play Veteran Explorer turn 1 and Cabal Therapy on turn 2 and wait till I have a little bit more information. I will Veteran Explorer. And then I can decide whether I'm interested in Witherbloom Charm or Cabal Therapy immediately. Polluted Delta. Dinosaur was clearly misdirection. Bolt me. Bolt me! Ponder is fine. All right, a Bobble. This is actually a really big deal because this tells me that my opponent is tempo as opposed to something like show and tell. Yeah. The opponent goes to 18. I think I am into Cabal Therapy. I think I am naming days for reasons that will become clear in a second. Nice. Double Quarry Steelcutter plus Brainstorm is a little awkward. I think it's going to be fine. So I will get 2 basic land cards here. I think I'm going to ignore my mountain for right now. I need 2 black to do what I want to do here, I think. All right, so my opponent has 1 basic land. They're now going to cast Brainstorm. Got him! King face. So now there's this interesting sub-game of what has my opponent left in hand, knowing that Unholy Heat is incredibly important, but also that they have 2 Quarry Steelcutters. So this brings my opponent to 14. I think I name a Quarry Steelcutter. I think it's very likely that Unholy Heat is the top card of their library. Yeah. Fucking wild they didn't hide Unholy Heat. Very, very surprised there. And then I will go ahead and play an Eyetwitch as well. And now opponent is in a very awkward position in terms of cycling that Bobble. They're going to do it anyway. This Orc is thick. I guess they can Unholy Heat in upkeep. It just makes like the Quarry Steelcutter that is probably on top of the deck way worse. Okay. Hit ya. 13. There's the turn we know about. Down to 12 for the fetch. There's the Quarry Steelcutter, and now I presume we are seeing Unholy Heat on my Bowmasters. Oh no, they're gonna go for the token. Alrighty. This is all not playing out how I expected it to play out. So there's another Bobble. Oh, my opponent is going to give me the opportunity to just block. I mean, that can just get me Origin of Metal Bending, which I was planning on getting by sacrificing Eyetwitch anyway. Maybe just want to sacrifice this and draw my cards anyway. I'll have to hit the green. I think that's fine. I think that's fine. I will let my opponent hit me for 3. Okay, cool. There's my green. In we go. I guess there's also lines where I just destroy the Quarry Steelcutter. And I learn for something bigger. It's going to get a forest here while I think. think I am just going to go ahead and sacrifice the Eyetwitch and take 2 cards here. So this lets me learn. I think I will pick up Origin of Metal Bending. Ooh, a new Eyetwitch. Fantastic. This is also fine. I will just go ahead and blow up the Quarry Steelcutter immediately. And floop down a new Eyetwitch, setting up another Witherbloom Charm next turn. This is great. There's the Thundering Falls that I know about. Opponent does keep that card. Alright. And then it is Monk Prowess token time. So this Prowess ability has already resolved, so I'm just going to go to face with this trigger. And to 9. That card is not Murktide Regent, so I guess I am happy. Opponent still believes that they are the aggressor. I don't really think it's true. I think it's pretty free to block with this Orc Army token, though. Just gain 3 life off of it. I think I just have inevitability here. In for 2. Opponent to 7. I'll go ahead and cast Witherbloom Charm yet again. Sacrificing my Eyetwitch. Assassin's Trophy is a great pickup. What do I want here? Desperate Plea, so that I have an answer to Murktide Regent, is pretty reasonable. Yeah, I think that's my plan. And then I will drop a land, and I'm very willing to just throw a Pernicious Deed out there. Ooh, that was good enough for a Force of Will. Opponent is really betting hard on this Monk token. Or maybe betting hard on Flow State being Flow State. There's a new Quarry Steelcutter. They're just going to equip to the Monk. Are you still the beatdown? They believe so. I now have multiple answers to Murktide Regent. I'm considerably less scared of that card. Then I will take this as an opportunity to resolve a Pernicious Deed. I might just Assassin's Trophy the Steelcutter and do this for 0. I don't really want to blow up my Bowmasters. Get out of here. And I would love to get a creature in the graveyard. Or rather, I would love to get a creature in play that I am willing to sacrifice. And so I'm going to intentionally pop this, even though it's not a ton of value, because I value this token highly, because this token is another Eyetwitch or Veteran Explorer, whatever it is exactly that I need. Volk is fine. And I know the Bowmasters is not going to get removed before this resolves. Opponent is passing the turn here. Sure. Attempt Punchies for 2. A Lightning Bolt is fine. In for 1 damage. So I could try to get more value off of this. I don't know that I need to. Let's just go ahead and return target creature to play on Orcish Bowmasters. So there's 1 and 2. Sacrificing this Orc Army token, and with 1 card in hand, this should just resolve. I'll ping my opponent to 1, so fetch lands are off the table. I have an answer to Murktide Regent that'll easily be played around cards like Daze and Spell Pierce. GG. We didn't even play that game as efficiently as possible in terms of like greeting with our Pernicious Deed or anything, and that was just cleanly wrecking them. The biggest decision I have to make here is, am I playing Leyline of the Void? It is good against Flow State, DRC, Murktide Regent. It is absolutely respectable. I think I kind of want it. I don't like super need Thoughtseize here. So I could go like 1, 2, 3, go down 1 therapy, 4. Yeah, that seems reasonable. And the Leylines are pretty hard castable in this matchup as well. Very happy with how that first game played out. Okay, I have a pretty reasonable assortment of cards here. I have Eyetwitch into Witherbloom Charm. I have Orcish Bowmasters for an early creature. This doesn't have the Leyline that I boarded in, but I don't think it is worth mulliganing a perfectly reasonable hand to try and look for Leyline here. This isn't an Oops All Spells matchup where if we just don't have the thing, we die. I think I'm interested in Cabal Therapy on turn 1 here. I don't need to play out Eyetwitch ASAP. Quarry Steelcutter is probably a good thing to name here. Brainstorm would also be fine. Brainstorm would have hit. So a lot of times with a Cabal Therapy, you want to just name the thing that would push your opponent the furthest ahead. And Quarry Steelcutter immediately Ooh, nice. They are just firing off that brainstorm immediately rather than waiting for the flashback for therapy. That helps me out a lot. Anyway, the reason that many people seem lucky by hitting with Cabal Therapy is that they just know enough about the matchup to name the thing that is going to be most damning if the opponent resolves it. So now I know that I probably need to play around a daze, so I don't want to do Bowmasters until next turn. So I think I will just go ahead and Eyetwitch here. And I can Cabal Therapy immediately. I think I will go ahead and do so. I will learn for... I might just get Origin of Metal Bending as something that answers a Quarry Steelcutter, which I still would potentially be worried about, while also potentially being protection for an Orcish Bowmasters from that Lightning Bolt that I also know about. So, am I naming the Murktide Regent here? I think that's pretty reasonable. I think that is probably still in the hand. I think my opponent wants that card. All right, I am correct. Murktide is gone. Opponent has Pyroclasm, which I guess clears Orcish Bowmasters. Such is life. Now, opponent does have active flow state at this point, so they can live with losing something like a Murktide Regent. Delta comes down. There is the flow state. And we are currently settling in for a longer game, which is probably favorable for me, despite the fact that my opponent's deck has flow states in it. My opponent has multiple answers to this Bowmasters, so again, I'd prefer to do this a little bit later on. I think I'm into just doing this play around days. And I also wonder if I should have just gotten Seismic Sense to attempt to keep getting lands. Alright, that is a Force of Will. Sure thing. Yeah, my next land drop was pretty important there. I think I made an error in judgment. That was a very fast flow state, which either means it was very good or very bad. Sure. So I could now flash in Bowmasters before this draw. All that would accomplish is getting Lightning Bolt out of hand. I don't know that I'm overly excited about that. Veteran Explorer I am quite excited about, so let's resolve that. This is a little awkward. The sacrifice is not done as a cost here. No, it's not awkward. It's just weird. So let's attempt this. Oh, it's a daze. Sure. That'll buy my opponent a little time. Because, like, I have some very, very strong stuff in this hand. Would you like to kill my Veteran Explorer? I would be alright with it, I'm just saying. I won't respond. There is a Murktide Regent, and I do have my intended way to answer that card available. And you're doing something else. And DRC, sure. So I will probably just Witherbloom Charm away this Veteran Explorer. I suspect that I can sneak 1 point of damage in by attacking here. Yeah? Yeah, that's what I thought. So I will sacrifice my Veteran Explorer to get 2 lands. Another Chaos Defiler. Quite nice. My opponent will get an island here. I need this mountain, and I will take a swamp here as well. Alright, land drop. I have 4 mana to work with. I can start casting this stuff next turn. I think I am okay just doing this now before we get to sorcery speed stuff here. And I have this Origin of Metal Bending to attempt to save it from Pyroclasm and potentially waste Pyroclasm and Lightning Bolt to clear Bowmasters. And if I do anything that gets counter magic out of my opponent's hand so that I resolve these these Chaos Defilers, it's big game. This is my opponent's 3rd flow state, though, I believe. So they are doing a great job in keeping up with me in terms of card advantage. Land drop. All right, there is a Pyroclasm. Saying goodbye to Lightning Bolt. I would now like to make my Orcish Bowmasters indestructible. It is another daze, sure. That's fine. Like, I got 2 cards there for my Bowmasters. That is acceptable. And now the hope is that my opponent doesn't have something like Force of Will. Like, I can surely beat this as long as Chaos Defiler resolves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There is Chaos Defiler. And I'll use this to take out Murktide Regent. Then I will resolve a Veteran Explorer for funsies. And I have another Chaos Defiler lined up, as well as the ground covered for something like Corey Steelcutter. So I'm hoping that I'm now just okay and stable. Opponent has looked at a handful of cards. Like, it is possible that there's a couple lightning bolts waiting in their hand. All right, they have just passed. I'm going to go ahead and go in for 6 here. Opponent to 8. I am hoping no hard cast Force of Will. Yeah. Lightning bolt my face. Putting a lightning bolt into their graveyard. So they are not trying to burn me out here. Hardcast Force of Will is not an option anymore. Okay, yeah, it is entering play, which means I'm killing DRC. Actual Factual Stifle. Unholy Heat on the Chaos Defiler. Sure. Force of Will into graveyard there. So now I get a second Chaos Defiler trigger. So goodbye DRC. Now the second one resolves, and I can't pick their lands, so they get away without penalty for that one. Opponent is at 4, facing down 6 damage plus Bowmasters. So they can potentially play a large Murktide Regent this turn, and I might be in trouble. If I find something that can kill my Chaos Defiler, like a Witherbloom Charm, I'm good, and I have that covered. A second Ponder. The first one was not a shuffle, so this is not looking at 3 new cards here. All right, they keep again, down to 7. I have 6 showing plus Bowmasters. That is a Prismari Charm, Surveil 2, and then draw a card. So things have now gotten a lot harder for my opponent. Have they dropped a land this turn? No, they have not. So they could still go land Murktide, but I think I'm beating that unless they also have like Force of Will blue card as well. Nice Wasteland. And Eyetwitch as well. All right, combat. In for 6. Opponent to 1. Here is my first attempt at lethal. Base. And had that not worked, I would get to Overlord of the Baelmark, bring back Orcish Bowmasters, and try again. Relatively dominant game here, despite the fact that my life total is this low. Like, this was certainly losable, but we either beat 2 or 3 flow states there. Nic Fit coming out swinging. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. Okay, I have a mostly good opening hand here, but if you will notice, I do have Forest and Mountain. So over the next couple of turns, I either need to draw a Swamp, or I need any way for Veteran Explorer to die. DRC hits play. Sure. Swamp, I was never worried. Fetch. Basic Swamp. How do I feel about playing around Daze here, when I can just slam Barrogoyf next turn? I think I don't play around Daze. Like, if this works, it's fucking sick, and if it doesn't, I don't care. You got Daze? You do have Daze. Cool. That Daze is now not impacting Barrogoyf, which I would like to play the moment that it has 4 toughness and is immune to Lightning Bolt, which is very, very likely to happen on the next turn cycle, between surveilling and my opponent casting Ponder and whatnot. I'm going to hold back so that if this does not become a 3/3, I can represent a block and therefore ramp for me. Volcanic Island and a second DRC. Pernicious Deed stocks going wild right now. All right, cool. Successfully saved 1 point of damage by holding Veteran Explorer back. Now, this is currently a 2/3. I might want to wait a turn on it, which is fine. I have other things that I can do. So I can go ahead and just impending this card, and this almost certainly grows this. Ooh, Chaos Defiler and Bowmaster? Eating good here. I think with only 1 card type in my opponent's graveyard, I'm going to go for Bowmaster. as a more efficient card here. And with 2 of these in play, I am comfortable attacking with 1 of them. My opponent certainly does not want to block, and we can start doing this whole impending thing. One of the upsides of leaving Chaos Defiler in the graveyard is that it is an artifact for the purposes of Barrogoyf. So that is now creature to graveyard, Bauble will be artifact to graveyard. So we just need like a Ponder on top of that or something. Alright, there is the Ponder. So now Orcish Bowmasters is not the removal spell that I would like it to be, but I can still use it to like ping Veteran Explorer and like safely get to the point where I can get back whatever Barrogoyf is finding me. There is some fear of just Force of Will on Barrogoyf. Maybe I can bait that out. Is this face? This is indeed face. That'll bring me to 16, and I'm taking 6 here. This is a lot. So there is a lot riding on this Barrogoyf as of right now. How do I feel about Bowmaster response here? I can Bowmasters in response and ping a Veteran Explorer. I kind of like that. Alright, we have baited out the Force of Will that I was afraid of Barrogoyf just eating. I would like to find a way to sack a Veteran Explorer and be able to play this card this turn. Alternatively, anything that kills DRC is a big game here. Opponent might tempo me out this game before I get to sacrifice one of these. Ooh. Now I am just short on the mana for Barrogoyf. I think my opponent gets this one, because they get to attack me for 6, and this doesn't have, like, haste or anything. I can draw the world's greatest Pernicious Deed, where I deed, kill 2 DRCs, and get 2 Veteran Explorers, and then get to, like, resolve Barrogoyf immediately. That would be such a huge game. But now my opponent gets a couple looks at a Force of Will, so maybe that doesn't matter. Notably, I played out my land on my turn, so that land is susceptible to Wasteland. I am in pain. Orcish Bowmasters is not going to do it. I die, I think, immediately before stabilizing here. Because I can Bowmasters, kill Veteran Explorer, play Barrogoyf, but I still just get whacked in the air. Unfortunate. GG. So we boarded these in last time. Let's do that again. I think I did 2 Thoughtseize out, a Rumble out, and a Therapy out, and I am comfortable running back that general plan. This looks like a reasonable mix of lands and spells. I have a way to sacrifice Veteran Explorer. I am okay with this. I honestly have 2 ways to sacrifice Veteran Explorer, so I can start doing it immediately. I think I am just getting a basic forest here and playing my Veteran Explorer. And an early-ish Endurance going and clearing the graveyard out for Flow States and Murktides and DRCs is a really big deal. That's the sort of thing that I very much would have appreciated last game. Like, as a top deck at the end there, an Endurance clearing out the graveyard and making those 1/1s, and also being able to block one of the DRCs is a just huge, huge, huge deal. And we do have an immediate Bauble. Opponent says no to Wasteland, which is normally not a very good card against Nic Fit, but like given that I have 2 non-basics here, it is good in the context of this specific game. An Eyetwitch as well. Sure. In for 1. Opponent will just take that. I think I will sacrifice this. So I want a black and a red here, so I want to sacrifice this for green. Yeah. Mountain. Swamp. Opponent does get their 1 island. I think I want to do Endurance around Daze here. Gets Force of Willed. Getting a Flow State for our trouble. I think I am willing to play Dazeable Eyetwitch here. I legitimately have a ton of uses for my mana with Chaos Defiler here. Like, I can use all 5, and I also have Lazotep Quarry to potentially bring back something. I'm very glad that my opponent has played a land. That means that this is not getting wastelanded, so I can guaranteed learn if I think that's something that I need to do. How do you feel about the attack, though? Yeah, okay. A ball therapy. Kind of interested. Let's see what's going on over there. I think Flow State would have been cast. I don't care about Lightning Bolt right now. I might just name Force of Will or Brainstorm. Let's maybe do Brainstorm. No, maybe not Brainstorm. Let's maybe do Force of Will. What you got? Daze. Oh, they had the ability to Wasteland and didn't. Okay. So now I can learn here. I have 3 mana, 4 mana. We're not doing Chaos Defiler this turn. 3 card types in graveyard. A Surveil could mess up. So I can't necessarily learn for Firebending Lesson. I might just Witherbloom Charm here. Bam. Witherbloom Charm. I guess I can attack. Yeah, all this stuff is instant speed stuff. I can just attack. Get in there. Wall Therapy. Target you. Sacrifice Eyetwitch. I will learn. Opponent can bolt my face if they would like. But this is actually incredibly important information. If this bolt happens and my opponent does not transform this into a 3/3, I know that I can use the fire breathing thingy. Ooh, Corey Steel card Cutter goes there, but there's already an artifact in there. I now know that I can use this learn trigger and kill this with Firebending Lesson 100% of the time. So I'll pick this up. Now I get Daze out of my opponent's hand. Goodbye. So there's Scalding Tarn Wasteland here. I can go 3 mana. I could use all of my mana to get Eyetwitch back, and that's sort of interesting. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to clear the board and leave up Trixies. Yeah, I'm just going to clear the board and leave up Trixies. I know this Wasteland is coming. So that happens, and then I will go and Witherbloom Charm, sacrifice a permanent, draw 2 cards, sacrifice the land that my opponent just targeted, and just like out-navigate their turn cycle. Now my opponent has exactly 1 unknown card. I think I'm comfortable playing this card and just tapping out for it. It would be okay to do it with Impending, but I think I get away with this. Yeah, I'll take Endurance here. Yeah. Absolutely dominant performance for Nic Fit in that game. GG. As long as I don't get Wastelanded into Oblivion, this hand is quite good. But I can like very easily die to Wasteland nonsense if I am going to start the game off on double Bayou. And that's a little unfortunate, and that is what it is. But I don't think I throw this hand back. But being able to like have a 1, 2, 3 curve of some kind with all of these cards seems totally fine and reasonable to me. Overlord is great as well. I'm going to play Eyetwitch first. My gut tells me that this is the correct play, but I can't articulate why clearly. It's a little weird. Because like Corey Steelcutter is something that exists. Boomerang basics on Eyetwitch. Hell yeah. Oh, nice. A basic is actually a big deal here. So I think I'm going to give my opponent a chance to daze an Eyetwitch that I don't care about anymore. And then I will play a Veteran Explorer that I care about slightly more. That's getting a response. Lightning Bolt Eyetwitch. Eyetwitch got Boomerang Basics and Bolt from my opponent. Fuck yeah, little buddy. Okay, now what am I getting? I'm okay, I don't need Seismic Sense. I might just get a removal spell here. But which one? I don't know yet whether or not Veteran Explorer is resolving. I hope it does. I think I'm going to get Desperate Plea, since it can hit a Murktide Regent, which feels like a pretty big deal as of right now. And this is an additional cost to cast. There is always my opponent just having Corey Steelcutter here instead, though. Yeah. And this is worse than, say... Oh, let's be real, I don't know this. Origin of Metal Bending? Yeah, Origin of Metal Bending versus this threat specifically. But my opponent is probably about to have 2 cards in hand, so hopefully this is fine. Opponent can now Brainstorm, and we'll see whether or not they even want to swing in with the Monk. My inclination is that they will swing in with the Monk. I think they still need to be the tempo deck. I am wrong, they do not. This one is a sorcery, and I would like to use this spell. So I think I will go land, Desperate Plea for both modes, return Eyetwitch, kill Monk, 1 and 2, sacrificing Veteran Explorer. I will search for 2 basic lands. I need green and red here, because I want to cast Endurance this turn and then have red for Chaos Defiler Inevitability. My opponent will get 1 basic land here. We know they have the island. And now the hope is that I clear the graveyard with this spell. And if I do, awesome. And if I don't, I can block and get something that answers Quarry Steelcutter. All right, there is Daze. That is fine. I have 15 mana worth of shit in my hand. And like Overlord looping Chaos Defiler is a thing as well. Flow State on. Flow State is on. Boomerang Basics is a sorcery. There's the second spell for turn. There is a Wasteland. This is actually quite relevant here for some of the lines that I was internally sequencing. So this time my opponent attacks with the Monk. I think I am willing to just go ahead and block there. I will get trampled over for 1 damage, but then I can get the Origin of Metal Bending to destroy the Quarry Steelcutter without like necessarily tapping out into Daze, which this turn got a lot harder to play. I think I'm still just going to do this now. So let's attempt. Oh, okay. Opponent doesn't have a counterspell. All right, I will jam the shit out of Barrowgoyf then. It is a 5/6. It is killable via Unholy Heat. New Quarry Steelcutter. Sure. I've got a Chaos Defiler for that. I would prefer to do it with 1 more mana, but that is what it is. My opponent can create some chump blockers for the Barrowgoyf, so I might not get in immediately. Reasonable. It is the year of our Karanos, 2026, and Nic Fit is 2-0. A good year. GG. How much do we believe? So I can keep Bayou Cabal Therapy on turn 1 on something like Brainstorm into Veteran Explorer Cabal Therapy on turn 2, and then I can deploy all of this crap. That's a little questionable as opposed to just keeping something that has consistent mana no matter what. I might keep it for science. I don't think this one's a keep, but I kind of want to see how it plays out. And I don't so much care about my win rate while making videos, because it takes a lot of mental energy to narrate all of your plays and be entertaining and whatnot. So we're not always optimizing to win. Actually, I might just name Force of Will. Nah, let's do Brainstorm. Pest Control in game 1? Ooh-wee. That is spicy. So we are probably playing against Esper Doomsday here. Opponent's hand is definitely a little bizarre. They are on the opposite end of the spectrum, where their hand has a bunch of mana but nothing to do with it. And they are going to play out that LED since I do just have Cabal Therapy chilling here. All right, I did naturally hit my next land drop. I am fine playing this, doing Veteran Explorer. Cabal Therapy, target you, sacrifice Veteran Explorer. How much is this? 1 or less? 1 or less. So that will blow up my opponent's LED if they play it out, sort of interestingly. Probably need a red and a green here. Opponent does have plenty of mana in this deck. I think I just name Pest Control since it cycles? Question mark? I don't know, like all that's going to do is kill Orcish Bowmasters. I mean, I'll name Thassa's Oracle. Low State. Understood. That doesn't draw cards, notably. Also, no instants or sorceries for it yet as well. I'm fine just doing this and returning the Veteran Explorer that I already know that I have and rebuying that. Then I can Cabal Therapy, target you, sacrifice Veteran Explorer. This deck fucking rules. I will search for up to 2 basic lands. Thank you for asking. It's turn 2. I've got 6 lands in hand. Nic Fit stands in the audience losing their fucking minds as I Veteran Explorer twice in the same turn, taking their flow state. This deck fucking rules. Now I'm going to pass the turn with Orcish Bowmasters available, and if my opponent end of turn cycles Pest Control, I will flash in Bowmasters in response. Yeah! Fucking get 'em! This is great. We still might lose anyway, because this deck is Doomsday and it's powerful as fuck, but, you know, we are doing numbers right now. And notably, opponent has exactly 2 basics. I will get to Chaos Defiler their Lion's Eye Diamond this turn. Yeah, Nic Fit! Nic Fit! Should I, like, beat my chest, take off my shirt, break the YouTube terms and conditions, I'm sure? Maybe later. GG. I would love 2 more Thoughtseizes in my deck here. And Mindbreak Trap is something that is playable but questionable, because the Dark Ritual Doomsday pass the turn lines don't actually interact with this at all. But this is, I think, worth considering at the very least. How are my lessons here? My lessons give me outs to sideboard juke creatures, so I will probably keep Eyetwitches in. I can probably take out most or all of my Chaos Defilers here. I think like Overlord Barrowgoyf Endurance is enough top end. So if I go down on those and like an Assassin's Trophy or a Malevolent Rumble or something, that's probably fine. Assassin's Trophy isn't anything crazy, but again, if I'm anticipating some number of juke things or some number of Tamios or whatever, keeping some removal in the deck other than just Witherbloom Charm is fine. I could also get rid of Pernicious Deeds. They don't do a ton. Like, sweeping Lotus Petal LED is a big deal. Sweeping Tameo and Clues can be a thing. None of that is particularly exciting. Malevolent Rumble, also a little slow here in a matchup that I would like to take over quickly like I did that game. And for Science, the questionable one land hand, overpowered Doomsday, so we'll take it. Oh, fuck yeah. Let's fucking go. Opponent has mulliganed as well. Nic Fit stocks through the roof. We've got Underground Sea into a Duress, so opponent can take one of my Thoughtseizes. That still leaves me with another Thoughtseize while my opponent has 4 cards in hand, so I'll take it. Lotus Petal, 3 cards in hand. There could be like a Veil of Summer type card that interacts with this Thoughtseize. I'm always casting the Thoughtseize, like, show me what you're working with. That is a Daze. Sure. So my opponent has successfully dealt with 2 Thoughtseizes. This does leave me with a Bowmasters, which is okay. Like, I will certainly cast it. And then I have some amount of mid-range stuff after that. But if my opponent has a Doomsday in hand, I have not threaded this in a way where I take that Doomsday. And that does matter. Another Bowmasters is, I would say, solid. This Bowmasters is not dazable right now. So I think I will fetch here. I think I will get a Taiga? Badlands? Maybe Badlands. And I want to do this with this specific timing so that my opponent can't go Surveil Land and then daze the Surveil Land back to hand. So I'll get some chip damage in. And there is the Surveil Land that I was anticipating. Notably, there is a way that my play could backfire there. If my opponent fetched to bait Bowmasters and then brainstormed with the Lotus Petal, they still get their fetch off of that. Like, there's weird ways that things can go wrong there. That is a Duress, Sorcery, and a Daze instant to power up Flow State immediately. Again, Flow State gets around Bowmasters. Mindbreak Trap is an okay draw. I will take that. So, I think what I'm going to do is send in for 2 and try to continue to hit land drops. So I will go green and black and attempt to sacrifice my Orc Army token to draw 2. Goodbye, Orc. Cabal Therapy, no land drop, unfortunately. So I'm a little ways away from this being impressive, but, you know, we're on the right track. Multiple flow states, though, makes the single target discard significantly worse. Land drop, pass turn. Ooh, no land there either. In for 1. Opponent to 15. I think I Malevolent Rumble. I think I just need land to function here. And the hope is that I can then cast this Cabal Therapy off a black land that I find. I am successful. There is Bayou. Make land drop, Cabal Therapy, target you. This will naturally be done around days due to Eldrazi spawn token. And I will certainly be naming Doomsday here. Ooh, that is a Force of Will. Okay. Resolves. Now, do I sacrifice Orcish Bowmasters to play around both Daze and Doomsday being in my opponent's hand? I think the Bowmasters is a valuable card. I am not going to do that, but it's possible I get dazed here. I do not. I will name Doomsday. It is Force of Will Brainstorm. Okay, that's all fine. I will pass turn there, and I know that this Bowmaster is quite good. We'll see if my opponent just casts it. No, they're just going to make a land drop and pass the turn. I am not getting the land that I need here. So be it. I think I will just pass the turn. And if my opponent puts a fetch on the stack, I will probably cast Orcish Bowmasters when they can't hardcast Force of Will. That is a ponder. They cannot hardcast Force of Will right now. I will take this as an opportunity to cast Orcish Bowmasters. This is the second spell of this turn. So if my opponent goes... Did that pitch Brainstorm, by the way? Yes. So if my opponent now goes and casts a Doomsday, Mindbreak Trap is live. And I will have an Orc token for the purposes of sacrificing something via Witherbloom Charm, which is really nice. All right, no immediate play. Mindbreak Trap not doing its thing. All right, another land is wonderful. Land drop, Impending Overlord. Okay, opponent calls it a day there with the second Bowmasters about to hit play in the year of our Keranos, 2026. Nic Fit remains undefeated. I believe I 4-1'd my last league. That currently puts Nic Fit at 7-1. Hot damn. GG. Yo, dog. I heard you liked Cabal Therapy. So we put Cabal Therapy in your Cabal Therapy so that when you can Cabal Therapy, you can Cabal Therapy more. Given how many Cabal Therapies I have, I am just going to name Brainstorm here with this first one. Nice hit. Unfortunately, I will probably lose my Veteran Explorer to this Thoughtseize, and then we are going to be in a much worse position, because I won't be able to flashback this while getting the lands and then just fire off every Cabal Therapy as fast as possible. There is a bauble. So just in case you're not like super familiar, this is the bauble that lets you look at the top card of target player's library, so opponent doesn't get to like see my hand and get a little bit more information before they decide whether they Thoughtseize. There's some timelines where they could just like want to get the tapped Mystic Sanctuary out of the way immediately, but those would be very, very good timelines for me. So this means that I lose the Veteran Explorer. I can still Cabal Therapy once. I could do it twice if I happen to draw a black land. This is fine. My opponent gets their redraw. Eyetwitch. If I do that, I get Force of Will blue card out of my opponent's hand without using Cabal Therapy from graveyard. I could also just use Cabal Therapy on Force of Will and be fine with that being the turn. So I can take one card now or 2 cards now. I think 1 card now is fine. Cabal Therapy, target you. Opponent is either eating a pizza or deeply considering Force of Willing a Cabal Therapy. I will be naming Force of Will here. Show me 2 Force of Wills. 1 Force of Will. Alright, I'll pass turn there. Opponent can have a Brainstorm to help fight back against my pile of Cabal Therapies. There's the tapped Mystic Sanctuary. I'd love to draw a land. I think I needed to be more specific there, honestly. I want to Cabal Therapy and then Eyetwitch Cabal Therapy. That's okay, though. Here's Eyetwitch. Cabal Therapy, target you. Sacrifice Eyetwitch. And then I think I'm just getting Seismic Sense here as a castable card immediately. I don't think I'm overly worried about these cards to the point where I need Firebending Lesson. So my opponent should now cast Brainstorm. Alright, there is the Brainstorm. So I know that my opponent has Bowmasters and Brazen Borrower. Brazen Borrower is a decent card which may now be hidden. Oh, I think I shouldn't have played the Mountain. No, I want to look at more cards for Seismic Sense. Alright, what is more likely to be hidden? Orcish Bowmasters or Brazen Borrower? I think my opponent thinks that Bowmasters is bad. I think I'm just going to name Orcish Bowmasters. Brazen Borrower is a card that I would rather take, but I think this is more likely to be in their hand. I am wrong. None of those cards were in hand, which is, I suppose, an alternate timeline of this same scenario. So I will go ahead and Seismic Sense. I will just pick up a land drop here. If circumstances were slightly different with my mana, Endurance would be interesting. I'll just pick up Verdant Catacombs. And I'll pass the turn. I know Bowmaster or Brazen Borrower is coming. I'm guessing Brazen Borrower is now in my opponent's hand. My opponent can deploy both Nethergoyf and Tamiyo immediately, which is annoying. Bowmasters is cool for Cabal therapy purposes. I think I am not going that route, though. I think I am just going to attempt to resolve a Barrowgoyf when I know most of my opponent's cards. And I will, I think, pass the turn there. It's possible I should just cast the Cabal therapy and get the days out of hand. But sometimes I need this land to be green for endurance, and I would prefer not to get wastelandable lands as of right now. Petty theft, sure. So I will take 4 here. My opponent can get their clue. And I built 2 deck lists at the same time. I'm just going to confirm, I believe that I do not have a Surveil land in this list. I do not. I will just move to my turn. Cool, another land is totally fine. I think I will go Cabal Therapy, target you. I'll name the days that I know about. Flow State is the last card. Rough. I don't want my opponent to cast that. Yeah, I don't want my opponent to cast that. I'll go a basic here. Play Bowmasters. Ing Face. Ball Therapy. Target you. Sacrifice an Orc. And take Flow State. Get out of there. Now, the downside is that my opponent still has like 2 different clues on board. The good news is that I have Barrowgoyf coming, but my opponent's hand is pretty aggressive here, even if we discount all the clue token type stuff. I wanted this to be held back to ping that creature, but we're not living in that timeline where that gets to happen. But hopefully Barrowgoyf will just resolve and buy me time versus this stuff on the ground. Land drop is my opponent's draw. Ooh, that's nice. So I will go ahead and attempt to resolve this. Wow, no clue crack in response, wild. Okay, I guess my opponent is just committing to casting this. I guess that's reasonable. And now they'll cast this. Oh no, they're doing the clue now. Okay, we'll get a green with this. And I'm okay putting this on the stack. My opponent can fetch and clue in response. They do not. King face. Actually, I could have gone Tamiyo there. I think I should have gone Tamiyo there. Opponent to 11. Ooh, that's a ponder. I can have a very large orc, or alternatively put some damage on Tamiyo. I think I'm just going to face with this. That'll put my opponent to 9. About the only thing I'm worried about here is Murktide Regent, which I think my opponent has drawn, but I've still got a Barrowgoyf that can crash in, so it's not the end of the world. That is Murktide. This has also shrunk in process. I guess this has shrunk too. Alright, Tamiyo may investigate. Sure thing. There is a land. I have a Cabal Therapy. I'm not really interested in doing that. I'm going to send in with, I think, just Barrowgoyf. I imagine my opponent is going to chump here. Oh, okay. That is not how I was expecting that to play out. 13. I will just hold this land and pass. I do wish I had slowed down just a touch and killed this Tamiyo. I was about to narrate, like, my situation's not that great if the Orc Army token gets removed, which is exactly what happened. Alright, Nethergoyf can crash in for 4. The Tamiyo is being held back for chip damage reasons. That's not great for me. I will attempt my chip damage here, but I am taking nearly lethal next turn. I need another live card or I die. Not removing the Tamiyo is probably not the deal breaker there. Yes. I think I want to hold these both in play because my opponent has active Tamiyo and 2 clues, but it's possible I should chump one this turn so Brazen Borrower doesn't kill me in the air next turn. This is where something like a Chaos Defiler as a top deck would just be nutty. Wasteland is fine. Nurturing Peatland is a redraw. We'll take that redraw. They'll have 5 for Chaos Defiler. Witherbloom Charm. 2 or less? 2 or less. So that doesn't kill this. We are on the draw 2 mode. Yeah. I will just sacrifice a tapped land here. So unfortunate. I can kill something that's not this. Alright. Thinking with portals here. Ball Therapy, target you. Sacking Veteran Explorer. I will say yes to this. I will do Forest and Swamp. My opponent gets 2 lands. I think I need like Force of Will here, as my opponent can now hardcast that. It is Daze. Which is also annoying, honestly. What if I just fucking gain 5 life with this one? Is that good? So, Chomp, take 3. That still puts me in a pretty bad position for next turn. I'm going to keep... maybe I can't keep swinging through Daze. Orcish Bowmasters isn't an out to these. Shit. I need it to be a 1-mana card. I need to draw Eyetwitch. Okay. That's what I need. I think I just do another land here. That is a Thoughtseize. That's not going to do it. Fell a little short there. GG. I think I am interested in Leylines here. Flow State, Nethergoyf, Murktide is a lot. I'll go Thoughtseizes out. Then the remaining cards are pretty reasonable. I can probably do a Malevolent Rumble out without missing it. And maybe Trimotherapy since chump blocks are relatively live. That seems fine. Okay, my opening hand is such where I have a bunch of powerful cards, but I do not have stable, non-wastelandable mana, which is a bit unfortunate, but you can't have it all. I probably lead on the Taiga here to protect black mana for if this goes very, very long and I end up hardcasting this. Because I see myself going Bowmasters into Goyf, and then playing this much later. So I will lead on Taiga. We do not have a Leyline in this opening hand despite boarding them in. And if Leyline is going to be good in this matchup, it really needs to be in play at the beginning of the game. Once my opponent has a decent-sized graveyard, the damage is done for the purposes of things like Nethergoyf and the first Murktide Regent. Thoughtseize resolves. I will always have a play to make on turn 2, assuming that I am willing to play into Daze, which I am. Overlord eats it. So now it is the question of when do I do this? I think I will fully just main phase this. It means that if my opponent has their own Bowmasters, they can Bowmasters my Bowmasters, but it also means that they can't respond to this with Brainstorm after knowing about it. So I'm good with this overall. I also don't care if this gets dazed with 3 Barrowgoyfs coming. There is a Nethergoyf, that is fine. There is a Tameo, that is less fine. That is a scary Magic the Gathering card. Always land drop. I'm just not going to let them have this. I'm going to take that out now. It's like certainly worse with Bowmasters in play, but it's still a very, very valuable card as the game goes long. This is going to eventually die to a Fatal Push or whatever. I just hate not playing a Barrowgoyf this turn when my opponent has 3 different Wasteland targets in play. Alright, Tameo does die. Opponent thought about it though. And then I will call it a turn there. I am probably just going to chump block with Orc Army token, even if it's only worth like a Lightning Bolt worth of life. I have a very, very strong endgame hand here, and I would also not like my opponent to slip a Kaito into play for 3 mana. Ooh, opponent does not attack with the Goyf. Sure. Land is... Ooh. I just have 3 of them. Do I just start getting dazes out of hand that way? I think I'll just pass turn here. I think there's a good chance that my opponent is about to cast either Orcish Bowmasters or Brazen Burrower. I am wrong. It is Fatal Push. I think I'm going to not create a moment where I do not have Orcish Bowmasters in play. If my opponent follows up with another Bowmasters, it's awkward. Okay, this is fine. So my opponent is down to 1 card, and I have 3 Barrowgoyfs coming. I'm good with this situation overall, assuming that I do not eat a Wasteland. So if I am the opponent here, my cantrips are looking for Wasteland. I think they know that I have 2 of them. Alright, there is a Bowmaster, which my opponent is just using hyper-aggressively to push 4 points of damage right now. That is fine by me. I'm now hoping their last card isn't Daze. Alright, now I don't care. So 1, 2, and 3. There's Barrowgoyf. And the Barrowgoyfing will continue until morale improves. There is a flow state that is awesome for my opponent. They could find like fetch land Fatal Push here, or land Brazen Burrower. Land Murktide Regent also okay. They don't find any of it. Fantastic. Punchies. Yeah. I gain 5 life here, which is a huge deal. Notably, Fatal Push could now be on. I think I'm just going to go bam, 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 and play a new Barrogoyf and pass turn here. As this game goes slightly longer, there's some good value here. Yep, that's fine. That's expected. Another flow state. I hate to see it. There is a follow-up Ponder. Opponent would love to see land Fatal Push to kill the other one of these, or they potentially, I think they don't know about this one, but they potentially need Force of Will blue card to answer this. If I do this, I am currently only doing this for 2, which can hit Bowmasters. I think I'm okay with that being my turn, and then guaranteed getting in with Barrogoyf. It'll cost me a life here. I will sacrifice my land. And then this way, this kind of hedges against Force of Will currently being in my opponent's hand. So this 4/4 Orcish Bowmasters is now in play. And I will go to Punchies, hit in for 5 with lifelink. Trigger, mill 5. I'll take the Overlord, I suppose. And then pass turn there. Next turn, I have another Barrogoyf around days still. And this is also just 10 damage on board, so we are still playing Magic the Gathering. My opponent has cast 2 flow states and has 5 cards in hand. We're still playing Magic, but my board is scary. There are 4 cards in hand, also scary. But I have removal, another self-scaling threat. This has Death Touch if my opponent plays Murktide Regent. All right, there is Murktide, an 8/8 Murktide at that. See how my opponent treats this Nethergoyf. Not willing to attack in. That's fine. Another Bowmasters is cool. I think I'm just crashing in with this and seeing if my opponent wants to trade Murktide. Yeah. There is a fetch. A petty theft. I accept. Yes, I will accept that. Show me Force of Will blue card. They showed me it. I'm still at 21 life here. I'm still pretty healthy. I would not mind drawing more land still. I'm fine just doing the chump here. I will get another Orc in a minute. Another Nethergoyf. Gross. Okay, cool. There's that other land that I wanted. So now I can go 1, 2, 3. Play Barrogoyf. Pass turn. Opponent will flash in this at end of turn, and then I get to Bowmaster that and make a potential chump blocker for Nethergoyf. So this all worked out rather well for me. This does mean that I take 1 here. Get out of there. My Barrogoyf is holding down the ground versus the Nethergoyfs, and hopefully gains me 5 life to make it so that Murktide Regent doesn't just directly kill me. This is gonna be a little tight. Hate that. Witherbloom Charm is 2 or less, unfortunately. So that I don't die, I need to do this. From there, life's a little more complicated. I think I'm just going to see what my opponent does here. There's multiple ways to handle this situation. Chump is definitely a thing. Just straight up trade Barrogoyfs is a thing. Opponent could eat the 5 to the face and just let me have this trigger. And then just attempt to overpower my resources. If my opponent kills Barrogoyf, I just get it back with Overlord. This is actually really complicated. Alright, opponent's just going to let me gain 5. So I'm no longer dead in the air to Murktide Regent unless my opponent draws another Murktide Regent or something else that takes an instant or sorcery out of the graveyard. So next, do I just want a second Barrogoyf? That puts me to 8 if I do this, though. So that doesn't cut it. I don't hate redraw here. I have some very good draws. That wasn't one of them. So now I think I like chump Barrogoyf, sack token, draw 2 cards. I'm already dead to Orcish Bowmasters anyway. Yeah, I think I like that line. Oh, this is so incredibly close. I don't know if my opponent can go for the alpha. These 2 creatures alone are lethal. I guess they are anticipating gaining 5 life, though. Alright, they are only swinging in with Murktide Regent. Which is actually kind of annoying for me. Opponent says, fuck, misclicked. I'm very sad that you misclicked, because it would have been better for me if you didn't. Alright, I will go to 1. Land drop. Oh, you're going to bring one of those back from graveyard. Alright. Such is life. Oh, I see you misclicked by not doing that pre-combat. Yep. That would have killed me. Let's see if I can get out of this. I could just double Witherbloom Charm and gain 10 life. I don't know that that's better than just trying to find something that kills Murktide Regent. So, like, finding Chaos Defiler, Assassin's Trophy, Eyetwitch do it. Yes, Eyetwitch does it. Yeah, I think I'm going to draw cards. I'll sacrifice my Orc Army token here. Cabal Therapy and Eyetwitch. Endurance. Endurance buys time. So I can nuke my opponent's graveyard, shrink Nether Goyfs, and block. And then also play Eyetwitch as a blocker. Is there any line where I deed for 1? Don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Send in with Barrogoyf. Opponent's just gonna chump. I accept. I gain 4, go to 5. I think I will just clear the graveyard now. Hold on, do I have a Cabal Therapy in my own graveyard? Not currently. Clear graveyard. Grow Murktide Regent. By 2. Again, that's just going to be lethal if that hits me. But now I have 2 different blockers in play. An opponent can... Nope, no Surveil land usage there. Have we already used that? Or did you just forget? Yeah, they forgot. Opponent says no to another Murktide Regent, which was not immediately castable. I might be getting myself out of this. Both of us are in danger of timing out, by the way. This has been a hell of a slog. Alright, Barrogoyf is coming in. Kind of interested in blocking with Eyetwitch and then getting a removal spell for Murktide Regent. So I will learn. Get Desperate Plea. Wasteland is fine. I can take out my Taiga. Still have the mana to cast Desperate Plea, which is what matters here. It hit another mana source. I think I will go Desperate Plea, both modes, target Eyetwitch, maybe target Bowmasters, actually. So target Bowmasters, destroying Murktide Regent, paying 2, sacrificing the smaller of the Bowmasters. Bowmasters, ping your face, go to combat. Everybody can party. Everybody can party. Opponent blocks Barrogoyf. They're at 3. I will fetch. I will get a red land. And then... Oh, fuck, there was a better way to play that. Oh, well. I think I'm just going to hold open Witherbloom Charm. Could have used Witherbloom Charm to destroy this and just get the win there. Douthie resolves. That's my opponent's 1 card. I will block with this Orc token. And then I will sacrifice this. Green and black. My opponent does not gain life, and this creature has Shadow. This is certainly lethal. Whoo, buddy. Oh, fuck, that's not the whole match. Shit. I did not realize that. Uh-oh. Alright, GG. We gotta win the next one fast. No changes. Just a lot more F6. Alright, we are both very low on time. I will be keeping this hand. Going to remove the stop on my opponent's upkeep here. They have an early Nethergoyf, and I hopefully have an early Veteran Explorer. I do. Why did I play out Bayou? I mean, the answer is because I was playing very quickly. Alright, no attack. That is fine. There is land. There is Eyetwitch. And I'll pass turn here. My opponent is going to use much more time than I do on average. They have to cast Brainstorms and Ponders and whatnot, and I don't. So even though I have half of the time, well, less than half of the time of my opponent, their average decisions are going to be much slower than my average decisions. I will also have the advantage that I can F6 through a lot of their turns. Oh, that's actually annoying here. Like, dies means goes to graveyard from play, so I'm just eating this now until I remove Douthie. which I will do on my own turn. So land drop, Witherbloom Charm. I think I'm just going to destroy that. 2 mana. The Great Days if my opponent has one. Snuff Out is fine, so that dies, but doesn't hit the appropriate zone. Then I will just F6 here for my opponent's turn and be perfectly happy learning. I guess I should be figuring out what I am getting. Potentially Desperate Plea, as that just answers any creature. Firebending Lesson isn't going to answer this as of right now, and I don't have time for something like this or this in all likelihood. I don't have another target for this right now, which is awkward, though. Alright, there is Flow State. Yeah, I'm potentially still just getting Desperate Plea. Alright, cool. Bam. And I'm just going to slam a Haymaker. Cool. Pass turn. I get Wastelanded. Not that big of a deal. Fatal Push is very good for my opponent. Land drop is fine. Yeah. I will take the block here. And then learn. Get my removal spell. And then start trying to set up some value. Like, my opponent has Murktide, which, like, this is literally why I got that. So this is fine. Cast Defiler is a little slow here. Legitimately, just so that I can F6 my opponent's turn, I'm going to do this like this. I would normally wait on this. But we are in the position where literally every second counts. That's annoying. So I will, I think, take the full 10 here, so that I can sacrifice this and bring back a creature. Cast both modes. Bring back Eyetwitch. Kill Murktide Regent 1 and 2. Sacrificing Orc Army token. Ooh, Force of Will there. That's rough. Probably have to chump block now. And just try to buy some time to let my other nonsense get set up. Ooh, that's disastrous. I get hit for lethal. That was a great top deck. I know what the scoreboard says, but in my heart, we deserved a match win for that ridiculous game that we brought back from the brink. But unfortunately, we are 3-1 now, but I'm still incredibly happy with this deck's performance. GG. All right. Opening hand doesn't have green mana. That feels like a deal breaker. I can play 2 Eyetwitches, but I think just too many of my top decks are fully not playable. I'm not willing to keep that. This is fine. So I go Swamp, Thoughtseize You. The next turn, probably land Cabal Therapy. I think I keep this and get rid of Witherbloom Charm. Assassin's Trophy is a slightly harder removal spell, and I'll already have Cabal Therapy in graveyard to... They're playing against Oops. Cabal Therapy in graveyard if I hit Veteran Explorer or Eyetwitch. Alright, Thoughtseize, target you on your mulligan to 5. Oh, we're not playing against Oops. My opponent has turn 2 Karn. Strunk. I will take Karn here. So the good news is that I can hit... I want this stop back now. I can hit Glaring Fleshraker before it comes down 100% of the time. I also just do have Assassin's Trophy on a land as a line that I can do here. I don't hate it. Yeah, I don't hate that. I think this is just instant speed Sinkhole. Not expecting my opponent to have a basic wastes. They could. Yeah. Especially if some of these decks are now trying out Petrified Hamlet. It's just not super likely that they do the thing. Mishra's Research? Mishra's Research deck, ooh. Alright. Results. This top 2 cards? Yes. Ooh! Cabal Therapy. Target you. Name the instant speed one. So we take out Kozilek's Command first as the instant. And then play Veteran Explorer. Cabal Therapy. Target you. Sacrifice Veteran Explorer. Say yes. I will pick up 2 lands here. We'll go Forest and Swamp. Then this can resolve. Name the Glaring Fleshraker that I know about, leaving my opponent with just Manifold Key. And then I can go ahead and make a land drop. I will need to draw something, but my opponent needs to draw both something and the lands to cast those somethings. So I think this board currently favors me. We'll see how crazy my opponent's Mishra's work desk trigger is. This is until the end of your next turn. So maybe next turn they can deploy Grim Monolith. But none of these cards were the lands that they would need to do that. Overlord. I think I just hardcast it. There's some fringe things that can happen. Bowmasters over Veteran Explorer, I think. Anyway, there's some fringe things that could happen where I could generate a play that is better than hardcasting this by impending it. This is a very big turn because my opponent could get Mystic Forge into play this turn if they draw a land. So they can go land, monolith, key, monolith, forge. So hopefully we dodge. Looks like we dodged. Very nice. Ooh, that's interesting. Let's see what I generate on attack here. A Chaos Defiler. Is that better than Eyetwitch? I could get Eyetwitch and sacrifice it and immediately play... I would use this and immediately play a 6-drop. Like, I can do something like Decorum Dissertation immediately. Also just Germination Practicum. I don't know, I think I'll just Chaos Defiler. So hit opponent for 5. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Land drop, Chaos Defiler. And this leaves open 2 mana while killing Manifold Key. So this is 10 damage next turn, plus 2 from the Bowmaster's attack, plus 1 from the Bowmaster trigger. Ooh, that's a great top deck. That resolves. I have some very interesting lines for if my opponent starts casting spells, which they did not. So end of turn. Yeah. Bowmaster's your face. Opponent to 14. Verdant Catacombs. So I have a just on board kill Glaring Fleshraker with another Bowmaster if my opponent blocks. So I think I can just send in with everybody. Yeah. Trigger. Ooh, another Chaos Defiler. Absolutely. I will pick that up. Yeah, that is fine by me. The opponent goes to 3. I mean, this just kills it as well. Without doing the Lazotep Quarry thing. Get out of there. I'll call that a turn. And I can, at any moment, just sacrifice one of these Chaos Defilers to destroy an on-land permanent that my opponent puts into play. So I don't think there's anything I'm worried about. We crushed our opponent there, but keep in mind they did mulligan to 5. GG. I am totally down for a couple of Thought Seizes, and then, like, do I play Mindbreak Trap is a legitimate question. On some of my opponent's fastest starts that go like Ancient Doom, Grim Monolith, Key, the Mindbreak Trap can really, really make up for some lost ground in the early game. I think when I'm on the draw, I'm going to seriously consider playing this. Endurance doesn't necessarily do anything too special here. I can probably cut those without missing them. How good is Eyetwitch? Eyetwitch can get a lot of card draw or a lot of pressure or hit the next land drop if I'm stumbling. It also gets Origin of Metal Bending, which is fine. It doesn't answer everything like the One Ring that's indestructible, but that's okay. I'm not overly great versus the One Ring outside of Bowmasters. The Rumble is expendable as a singleton, and then I might just go down like an Overlord or something. I wish that I had more Assassin's Trophies for this particular matchup. This doesn't look like it wins this particular matchup. Oof. I will go to 5 rather than play out this thing that's missing green. Oh god. Okay. We are on 5. What does this 5 look like? 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably 5. I don't think this wins. The 4-card hand's bad too. At some point, you just need to keep a hand and hope to get lucky. I think that's what this is going to be. 1, 2, 3 for sure. Heatland's going back. Chaos Defiler's going back. And I think Mountain goes back. This gives me 2 lands and 2 kind of pieces of interaction. And Witherbloom Charm can potentially be a draw too. But this is really not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, like, initial Thoughtseize type stuff into Veteran Explorer ramp, if possible. There is an Eyetwitch. I'll take it. That is a turn 1 play. Is it amazing? No. But it does have synergy with Witherbloom Charm if I don't have to use Witherbloom Charm to remove something. which I often am going to have to do, because my opponent can just have 4 mana this turn like they do. I was in Vegas over the weekend, so I didn't exactly track the results, but this card has, or rather this deck has supposedly been doing quite well in recent challenges. So I've got Bowmasters for the One Ring. That helps a little bit. I'll pass the turn here. They have protection from everything right now. They'll lose 1. And then I will flash in a Bowmasters. I think I'm going face rather than pinging Eyetwitch here. I still have a way to sacrifice the Eyetwitch if I feel like I need to learn. And we'll send those at face. Opponent's at 16. Oh boy. So opponent has 3 mana to start with, and then every spell is going to generate 1 extra mana, or maybe 2 extra mana. Hate that. And again, the destruction side of this is 2 mana or less. So Glaring Fleshraker gets to dodge that. Oh god. I'm going to die. Opponent is now up to 4 mana, has 5 cards in hand, 2 Glaring Fleshrakers in play. I could legitimately just die this turn. There is a Tezzeret Cruel Captain, which potentially could untap the One Ring. That's a little weird with Bowmasters in play as of right now, but might just be fine. Opponent is tutoring, going for Portable Hole. Yikes. 2 mana for Disruptor Flute. Yeah, you got it. You got it, boss. Whatever you say. I legitimately don't even know what you'd need to name here. I don't have enough mana to play Indeed for a relevant number. Assassin's Trophy seems way too slow to matter here. There's another Tezzeret. Legend ruling the first one. So my opponent can now search again, finding Mox Opal. And Mox Opal will be lethal. Was that all 20 to 0 in one turn cycle? It might have been. Bad beats from the mulligan there, but my opponent's hand was quite strong. So I'm looking to start with Thoughtseize, Therapy, Assassin's Trophy. That's the stuff that I need here. My opening hand mana doesn't really work. This is an auto mulligan. My second hand is quite bad. As we saw, Bowmasters is not necessarily enough versus this deck. Their Bloom Charm kind of mid. I think I'm going to go to 5. The 5-card hand has an Assassin's Trophy, which is one of the most important cards in the matchup. I will keep this and junk Chaos Defiler for sure. And then probably Deed. I keep Witherbloom Charm to sack Veteran Explorer. Okay, my opponent mulligan once at least. Let's throw down Veteran Explorer. The cool thing here is I can attack for 1, then Witherbloom Charm away Veteran Explorer, getting 2 lands, and then use those to Assassin's Trophy immediately. Ooh, are you just going to name Assassin's Trophy? Cabal Therapy. Alright, we dodged. Nice. Badlands comes down. Love tap for 1. Witherbloom Charm. Sacrifice Veteran Explorer to draw 2 cards. There is a Cabal Therapy, humorously. I don't have too many forests left. So there's a forest and a swamp because I need those to cast Assassin's Trophy immediately on this Ancient Tomb. And we know that that's Sinkhole. And then next turn, I will just be okay paying 4 mana for a Cabal Therapy. Naming something like the One Ring or Karn that is just going to be problematic. Pernicious Deed is neat. Cabal Therapy at the low cost of 4 mana. Let's go for the One Ring. It is Karn instead. So I will pass the turn there. So opponent can now potentially put Grim Monolith in play or Disruptor Flute, something that they think is going to be good. They are going to go for Grim Monolith in play. And over the next couple of turns, my opponent can potentially get a way to untap that. So, am I just into deeding immediately to take Grim Monolith so that my opponent doesn't have guaranteed ability to cast Karn? I think so. Doesn't necessarily feel great, because I would love to use it to clean up the Urza Saga tokens as well. I think I just have to keep Karn out of play. Deed for 1 extra. Deed for 3. Out of spite. Oh, this doesn't say non-land, does it? It destroys the Urza Saga as well. The opponent floats some mana. Oh wait, did opponent just fuck up? Could they have Disruptor Fluted the Pernicious Deed while it was on the stack? Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I think they messed up there. And they bottomed a card. I am running on fumes, but hopefully my opponent just doesn't have mana. 2 mana for a new Grim Monolith. Alright, they're just trying to work towards that Karn. There is a Manifold Key. Uh-oh. That untaps Grim Monolith. That's 4 mana for Karn. That is quite bad for me, because presumably that's a 1 ring, right? Actually, with a Cabal Therapy in Graveyard, you should probably, yeah, not get, like, the best thing immediately. I need a big top deck here. Like a Chaos Defiler. Out of the Taiga. That does not do it. I think my desire to keep my opponent off of Karn has failed. Another Urza land as well. Opponent has 2 artifacts towards Metalcraft as of right now. This is not as bad as it could be. They're getting a Tormod's Crypt. I guess they care about this Cabal Therapy quite a bit for some reason. Not quite sure why. I don't know how much this Metalcraft matters. It seems like you can just cast Disruptor Flute at some point and make that happen. Like, this is just giving me another turn to answer the Karn without the Karn getting something devastating. Verdant Catacombs. So if my opponent slams Mycosynth Lattice, I am dead. Oh, is your last card a Kozilek's Command here? Big game, if true. It is. 1 top, 2 bottom. I think my deck just kind of let me down with 9 lands here. Did not need much. So there's the untap on the Monolith. I imagine it is time for Karn to Mycosynth. Yeah. That is a disappointing tail end to the league. We still end up with a positive record, and the deck did feel absolutely amazing, though. GG. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Legitimately better than last time around. I know that our record was one worse at a 3-2 this time versus a 4-1 last time, but the deck felt so incredibly smooth today. I had fewer red cards in the sideboard, meaning that I didn't need to think about my red mana very much. It was just for Chaos Defiler. And the small adjustments that I made to the tutor board seemed very good. I think I tutored for Desperate Plea about 3 different times. I think I picked up Seismic Sense about twice. And I absolutely thought about this card, even though I did not get it. We did not get either of the 2, like, what I would call haymaker lessons today. But I absolutely thought about picking up both of them at times. Ooh, I wonder if I missed a line where I could have gotten this and burned my opponent out. I don't remember exactly what life totals were at, but I wasn't thinking about that angle. Overall, this seems really strong. I still like it a lot. I think there is still room to finesse this further. I think if I was going to do this again, I might just turn the Nurturing Peatland into another Bayou. I know I flooded out in that last game and having the redraw would be nice, but generally speaking, I think the individual points of life can be very, very relevant in a deck that stabilizes as the game goes on, so I don't know that I want to deal too much damage to myself with lands, especially if I am adding Thoughtseize into the deck. I'm not sure if Thoughtseize is better than just playing like 2 more copies of Malevolent Rumble. In our incredibly fair matches today, just having access to consistent mana and consistent endgame creatures like Overlord and Barrowgoyf and Chaos Defiler is great. And so Malevolent Rumble to bridge to those endgame cards a little bit faster seems quite solid to me. Again, something we talked about in the previous video is that you have the potential to just drop Eyetwitch from this deck. You can play then like 4 Malevolent Rumbles and a 3rd main deck Endurance or something like that. Or if you want the entire playset of Thoughtseize, you could play those in the main as well. However, the Eyetwitches definitely did work today. Getting Desperate Plea was great. Origin of Metal Bending killed multiple Corey Steelcutters. I like what we're cooking with here. And in the previous video, I said that I think if you take this over about 20 leagues, you can probably turn this into something pretty real. Even as quickly as the 2nd league, it's very clear that something is here. You know, there is a diamond that you can polish should you want to polish this. All right, come back tomorrow. We're going to take the red out of this deck and see if we feel like this is better or worse. With that being said, have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya.